In Canada, the famed Imam Yunus Kathrada, who has been in the news many times before for his statements of forthright Islamic belief, which always shock Western journalists because they didn't think that any Muslims actually believed in Islam. Yunus Kathrada said this past week that the term radical Islam is bad, that only enemies of Islam or people who are ignorant use it. And Islam is...
Look, no matter how much we compromise and give them everything they want, it's not enough, right? Because if you ask me for, okay, what are the terms there? Because notice, it seems like you do want to distinguish between, Muslims who want to kill you and Muslims who don't want to kill you. It seems like you do want different categories. But since the ones who want to violently subjugate you are actually following exactly what Islam teaches, it seems like you would call them, that regular Islam, and then what the genuinely peaceful ones are doing, call that something else, like Islam light, or the Walt Disney version of Islam, or watered down, whitewashed Islam, or something like that, right? Call that something different, Islam light, or something like that. But no, they want to make the people who don't follow Islam the true Muslims, and the ones who actually follow Islam and its commands to violently subjugate the world, those aren't the real Muslims. And so they come up with these additional terms, but then they have to take all reference to the ideology that motivates them out of the description. It's just It's wild stuff.
And notice that Yunus Kathrada is coming at it from the opposite point of view as that of the Muslim police in the UK. Yunus Kathrada says, and I'll quote him here exactly, let me say from the outset, we hear this terminology a great deal. Islamic extremism, radical Islam, and moderate Islam, as opposed to radical Islam. We hear these terminologies very often and we read about them, but I want to tell you from the beginning that the only ones who use these terminologies are either enemies and opponents of Islam, or those who are ignorant and have no understanding whatsoever of what Islam is, who are out to distort the image of Islam. Now, Yunus Kathrada, he's what you would call an Islamist. And so he's saying you can't use these terms because they distance Islam from jihad, and the Muslim police in the UK are saying you can't use these terms because they don't distance Islam from jihad enough.
Seems like there's not just here but everywhere. It's all a war on language.
Yes.
All these guys think if they can just control the language, they can control thought.
Exactly. They got that from Orwell and Newspeak in 1984. He didn't write it as a manual for a totalitarian state, but nonetheless, some people are clearly taking it as such.
Islam as an ideology is built for long-term survival and effectiveness. This has nothing to do with whether it's true. Any ideology that's lasted 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years has to have some characteristics that make it long-term effective. And so, you look at Islam and this methodology that's built into it when, hey, you're a minority, call for peace and tolerance, you get stronger, then you start waging defensive jihad so everyone knows not to mess with you. And then once you form the most powerful section of a society, then you violently subjugate and enforce Islamic law and don't allow any criticism. And this has worked really, really well for a long time, especially all the, promising people an eternity of deflowering virgins in paradise and so on. You get a lot of aggressive people on your side when you're making those kinds of promises, and you go out and you can violently subjugate a lot of people. And so it's built for this long-term effectiveness, and yet the people, the Dawa-minded people, they're so short-sighted frequently, right? Like, if I could just do this, then, and they don't realize, the impact this has down the road. And so with Zakir Naik, let's bring Zakir Naik in. We've got some people who are dumb enough to convert because they're not examining anything he says. They're just listening to him and thinking that this guy tells the truth when he's like the biggest liar in history. And some people who are dumb enough to convert based on hearing Zakir Naik, guess what? Some of those people are eventually going to look things up. In fact, the statistics show over half of people who convert to Islam leave it within 2 years. So they're all happy when all they're doing is creating more ex-Muslims by doing this. They're creating more ex-Muslims. Now, you'll probably get some lasting converts, but you get some ex-Muslims who are going to be ticked off that you duped them into converting to something based on lies. And then in addition to that, they have this image problem where all these nations, all these Muslim nations blasted Nupur Sharma for saying, for just, I mean, she's mentioning as like a hypothetical, hey, if you want to start attacking me here, I could bring up Aisha, I could bring up that kind of stuff. Is that the direction you want to go in? And that was enough to like try to destroy her and call for her death. And yet they're bringing in, how many times has Zakir Naik been in trouble with the law for all the things he's done over the years? And then
plenty.
That's who you get. That's who you get, Muslim countries, like a big slap in the face to India when you're saying India should be walking on eggshells around you, tiptoeing around you, not to say anything that could possibly offend you. And then you throw Zakir Naik in their face.
They said, "We will escalate the war against you until you submit to Islam. Our desire is to kill you or be killed, for we are martyrs before Allah. So submit or run from us." And they gave them 3 choices. Submit to Islam.
3?
Yeah.
3 choices, huh?
Say not 3, I know.
Hang on. Let me guess, Robert.
Yes, sir.
It's convert to Islam.
Yep.
Or pay the jizya in acknowledgement of your inferiority, or we're gonna kill you or be killed.
That's uncanny. Really, I'm astonished. Have you seriously thought about going to Vegas?
No, it's just funny because that's what you see in the Muslim sources. That's what you see from Muslim scholars for 14 centuries. Those are the 3 options. You have Sheikh Asim al-Hakim, who's still telling Muslims this on YouTube. I mean, he's telling people this on social media. Guys, we are not in a position to go around and killing them all right now. So we need to be preparing our community for a few decades from now when we're strong enough and we outnumber them. And then we're going to go door to door, giving them these 3 options: convert, pay the jizya, or we're going to kill you. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing because that's in the Muslim sources. That's what Muslim scholars have been saying for 14 centuries. You've got very popular Muslims saying it today. But as soon as we say it, we're evil. Right?
Yep.
We're evil. Like, as soon as we say, guys, these are the actual options according to Islam, once they're in a position to implement and to offer us these 3 options, this is what Islam teaches. And we're evil for pointing it out.
Yeah, David, those are just the Islamists. That's just radical Islam.